Yo, what's going on? It is 1 p.m. here in Crystal Lake, Illinois. It means it's time for another live stream. Today is Monday, May 19th, 2025. Guys, I'm trying something different. Believe it or not, I do go back and at least listen a little bit to some older episodes. And the thing that I notice when I watch older episodes on YouTube is that the volume is really low. Now, other times when I've tried to increase the volume, I feel like it's just the gain is all out of whack and it doesn't sound right. So I'm going to keep tweaking it. I'm tweaking it now. See, Mark is like, mic is tad hot. Okay. I don't know how to make the mic not hot. Eliza says I sound tinny. I hear it. I hear it too. This is a good microphone. This is the microphone that I use for my, this is a microphone that I use for voiceover work in all the runners weekend videos. This is the microphone that I use. And whenever I listen to this microphone, maybe I just got to get up to it. Maybe whenever I listen to this microphone on the old episodes, it doesn't sound right. So maybe I just need to get this up closer to my face and stay disciplined and be close to the face. Okay. Matt Beyer says good now. And Martha says sounds perfectly clear. Are you in Mexico right now, Martha? Okay. Calvin says closer with a pop filter would help. Do I need a pop filter though? I already got this foamy thing on here. I do have a pop filter. Should I get it? I'll get it next time. All right. Bang Bang says it sounds good to me, and Daniel Burton says it's good to me now. Okay. We're here. Okay. So this is what I'll try for today, and I'm going to try to stay really close right up to the microphone so that, and without yelling in it. And we got to keep the plosives under control. Maybe we'll get the pop filter for that next time. But, okay. Today, what I want to talk about is I had a really good runner's weekend, but a family weekend of running. My kids are running. It's great. I swear I'm not pushing them into running. They picked some running things to do this weekend, and I'm super proud, Dad. We'll get all into it. But first, let's say hi to everyone listening on the audio-only version on the podcast. Hopefully the weather is safe for you today. The weather's been wild. Past couple of days. We had a dust storm in Chicago. We didn't get it much up here in Crystal Lake. But parts of Chicago got it, like dust bowl style. So that's alarming for a lot of reasons. And then there was tornadoes in parts of the country. So hopefully wherever you are safe. And for everyone else watching this later but not live, you're watching the #1 drive time radio show for runners, which is neither meant for you to watch while driving, and it's not a radio show. It's on the internet. But I guess a radio show could be on the internet. No, I guess I can't. By definition, it's a radio show. Anyway, you're here. We're here. Hope you're enjoying it today. All right. We got, let's see. Daniel Burton says there's tornadoes in East Colorado yesterday. Colorado gets tornadoes? I didn't know that. Vinny Bevilacqua, which I remember the name because it's a unique name. Says first time in a while. Hey, Co. Hey. Deezer Aperture says my balcony got covered in dust. That's weird. That's very weird. Stephen C says the weather is good today. There we go. All right. Let's see. I was seeing earlier on, someone was saying stuff about Calvin. Where'd he go? What you guys have to let me know. What did Calvin do over the weekend? In the meantime, the other thing we should talk about is Nick Symmonds FKTing Mount Everest. He didn't FKT Mount Everest. He got to the top of Mount Everest. Is there an FKT for Mount Everest? I feel like you got to have a lot of weather on your side to FKT Mount Everest. I feel like that's it. You have to be able to summit Mount Everest, which is no small feat. But then you also have to have weather on your side. And I figure everything after that is all pretty much samesies, right? But is that what he's been up to? He's been quiet. I remember there was Nick Symmonds' YouTube channel. I used to watch that all the time. And then Nick Symmonds 2, his second channel, which was TOO, not TWO or the number 2. It was TOO. And he had the Run Gum, which to me felt like Nicorette. I just feel like it was a wrong time for that product. It looked like Nicorette. It had packaging like Nicorette. It sounded like Nicorette. But anyway, what else has he been up to? Not saying that he has to do anything, but he was a guy that was in the limelight. He seemed to enjoy it. And then he went quiet for a while. And now is this his return? Did he, when he got to the summit, bring out a card announcing his next project, an album coming out, maybe a new podcast? I feel like Nick Simmons would be starting a podcast. If I had to guess, I don't know that Nick Simmons promoted anything when he got to the top of Mount Everest, I guess, other than himself, which is a reasonable thing to do when you get to top of Mount Everest, promote yourself. But if he did, my guess would have been he's promoting a podcast, a brand new podcast starting soon, where runners get around and just shoot the breeze, talking about the news and other happenings in the running world. Frank says that Killian has an FKT on one of the routes. There's several FKTs. Oh, interesting. Is there still controversy over Killian's summit of Everest? Because wasn't there controversy about that? I don't know. All right, Calvin says, here's the news that I wanted to hear from Calvin. He had a 23-minute PB this weekend. No, not that one. This one. We need the bell. Great job, Calvin. 3:47:04. Nice. Calvin won his 5K marathon, is what Mark says. Congratulations on winning the 5K marathon, Calvin. 3:47:04. Lovely. Lovely. That's amazing. Great work. What race was it and what shoes did you run in? That's what I want to know. All right. Stephen C says next week, Nick Simmons is going to deadlift Everest and then run Everest. I feel like that's with Nick Simmons having now summited Everest, is a Ryan Hall Everest summit that far behind? It can't be that far behind, right? I don't know. Melinda says, I was 3 seconds away from a PR on my 5K this weekend. Bummer, but I made third in my age group. Never got podium before, so it was exciting to me. Well, congratulations on the great fast 5K performance. Nice. Andrew Scott wants to know if Nicorette is considered a PED. I don't think nicotine is considered a performance-enhancing drug. And people have talked about it for a long time. I think it was the guy that did the 4-day work week, that guy. I thought that was it him or someone in that kind of space before like everyone became like Nick Bear and, and everything was like, I have to deadlift and run a marathon. Before everything was that, there was those guys that are like wearing barefoot shoes and meditating and life hacking. They were super into like using nicotine as a stimulant, which it is, to enhance athletic performance. Maybe it wasn't that guy. Maybe it wasn't the 4-day work week guy. But I feel like there was a lot of people in that space, like kind of like pre-Gary V-ish times, those dudes. I'm surprised that like Rich Roll never did it, because I feel like, or like Huberman, I feel like those are the dudes that would be into nicotine as a legal performance enhancer. Adam Voigt says, Yoko fam, first marathon in Dusseldorf, Germany, 3:37:32 stopwatch, blue hand timer. All right, there we go. Congratulations on finishing the first marathon. Nice. Stevie76 says, when you summit Mount Everest, do you get a tattoo? Like a mountain on the small of your back with a saying, top this? I don't know. How would you guys celebrate summiting Mount Everest? Would you get a tattoo? I don't have any tattoos, so I probably wouldn't. If I had tattoos, I would definitely get something Tibetan. If I summited Everest. Is that the old, or is it Nepalese? I'm not sure. I have no idea on geography. Today, I got interviewed for a podcast today, and I was confusing British things and Irish things, and I was like, ugh, both the Brits and the Irish are going to be so pissed about this. because I'm just a clueless American for so many things. Steve Blackadar has a question, says, do you have an experience with the Vomero 18? Getting back into Maffetone style heart rate based running and seem like a good fit for those runs. I do have experience in the Vomero 18. I think it's a max cushion. I don't know, like, number one, I think the most specific way that I could say what the Vomero 18 is like, it feels like what running in the Air Max 270 looks like. It looks like if you're not familiar with that shoe, there's a giant airbag in the back of the shoe, and then it looks like it just slams down in the forefoot, and it kind of feels like that in the Vomero 18. It's really nice. It's max cushion. I feel like Nike finally has like committed to saying that the Vomero is a max cushion shoe. And I like it. It's nice. It could be good for a lot of low and slow running. I think there's other shoes that I would probably pick first than the Vomero 18. I just finished a run just right now in the Puma Mag Max. That one is a lot of fun. From Nike, I think that depending on the kind, I guess for Maffetone running, the Vomero would be a better choice in my mind than the Invincible, but that would be, I think I like what the Invincible does more than what the Vomero does, but the Vomero is pretty good. I like that one. I'd also look at like Asics Nimbus would be more, maybe Glide Ride Max. I like the Glide Ride Max more than I like the Nimbus. That would be another good one to look at, but it's a nice update. It's different than the previous Vomeros though. I feel like the previous Vomeros were like Grand Touring versions of the Pegasus, and they weren't really sure if they wanted to go in on max cushion. I feel like, and this is where like actually knowing someone at Nike would be useful. But I feel like for a long time Nike didn't like max cushion. I feel like they thought it was beneath them, the way they avoided it. You know what I mean? And so, but I feel like now they're embracing it. And the Vomero 18 is an example of it. One Garcia wants to know, when's the Hyperion Max 3 review coming out? Probably not for like a month. The shoe doesn't come out till July, I think. So I'm not in a terrible hurry for it. I don't even know if pre-orders are available, and to the extent that pre-orders would be available, I don't think they're gonna sell out on this shoe. I haven't tested it yet, so I'm not saying that they're not. I just think that Brooks supply chain is such that they're not gonna sell out. And I got a lot of other stuff that's kind of in the queue ahead of the Hyperion Max 3, and I just reviewed the Ghost Max 3, so I'm gonna give that a little bit of space. Patrick says, I did not PR in the Brooklyn half, but I think I did PR in the pre-10 a.m. beers. A win is a win. There you go. I'll give you some cheers for that. I do think that I've never raced Brooklyn half, the RBC half, but I do love that race. I think it's cool that you get to start in Prospect Park. You run kind of slightly downhill to the beach, and then you end in Coney Island. Right? And then there's beers in the stadium afterwards, and you're in the minor league ballpark, and then you're at the beach. I feel like it's fun. Maybe I'll run it someday. Alejo Ganud says, hey, Co, greetings from Argentina. I'll be racing a 10K on Sunday, trying to break 37. It's very speedy. Wish me luck. Well, good luck to you. What shoe are you going to race in? All right, Calvin did the Windermere Marathon in Spokane, Washington. Rolling course, slight net downhill. There's 670 feet of gain. Oh, pretty great conditions, all things considered. 42 degrees Fahrenheit, cloudy and breezy, sunny by the end with some headwinds. That's nice. Windermere Marathon. Awesome. Well, very cool, very cool. Mark says, has Nick Bear ever done a collab with David Goggins? Would the internet explode if they did? I don't know. It's kind of like either it might not work because it's just too many Titans, or it could be the start of like an entire franchise unto itself, like Godzilla versus Kong, with Titan versus Titan. Guys, did you know I love the new Godzilla movies? The old Godzilla movies, I mean, did you guys see that? Like the focus just like went out for a second, or am I having a aneurysm? Anyway, the old Godzilla movies, I guess, are good. I can't say that I've ever watched one all the way through. Like the ones in Japanese that are dubbed in English. I can't say, I don't know that I ever have. But the new Godzilla and the Godzilla versus Kong movies, they're terrible, but I really like them a lot. Um, I only watch them on airplanes, and I need them to make more of them because I got a lot of flights coming up, and they're just really entertaining to watch on an airplane. I do really like them. I like them more than like the direction like Transformers movies went. Um, what other ones are like that started out good and maybe didn't like? But yeah, Transformers is a good example. Or I'm like the first one was like, this is fun, and after a while I was like, I don't know, who is this for? But the Godzilla movies, it's probably for the same Transformers audience, but I don't care. I still like it. I don't know. It's weird. Dastard said that Godzilla -1 is amazing. It's really good. And then I don't know which one of it went into the whole like hollow earth theory, which apparently is a big thing that people are literally into, non-ironically, non-sci-fi-ish way into. Do they actually think that there's a Godzilla or a King Kong that lives in? I don't know. But that one was pretty fascinating. I like that one. All right. Thomas one says, I must have missed it earlier, but how did your daughter do? Okay, so my daughter, let's talk about my runner's family weekend. My older daughter on last Monday had her conference meet. We felt pretty strong that she was going to do well there. It didn't really matter if she did well or not because she would still be able to. I think the sectionals is like the coaches get to pick who competes at sectionals, and so I feel like she would have been still picked no matter how if she did poorly at conference. But she did well in conference. She won for 7th grade girls in the 1600 and the 800. And then for sectional, she was super nervous because she was like looking at everyone's PRs coming into it. I'm like, oh, there's fast girls here. And I'm like, how, are they faster than you? I'm like, well, no, but they're like right about mine. And I'm like, well, if you think those girls are fast, then you are also fast by definition. You know, like if they're fast, you're fast because you guys have the same PRs. And she's like, I know, but they seem so much faster. And I'm like, you haven't even met them yet. So she was pretty nervous going into it. But the race plan for the 1600 was, I had given her a race plan because I didn't know if her coach was going to give her a specific one. And I don't know. You know what? I don't know if coach did or not. They did talk a lot before the race, so I'm sure coach did. But the race plan I gave her was let the other girl who's about your PR pace take the lead out for the first 3 laps and then start moving and just wait and outkick her at the end because I think you can outkick her. And that's pretty much, well, it's not exactly what she did, but she did go out a little bit slower and she had a huge kick at the end. Like I've never seen her kick like that before. And I was super, super impressed. I was like at the 50-yard line of the home stretch. And I was like jumping up and down. I'm like, you're doing it. You're doing it. This is amazing. This is it. So I was screaming. It was so cool. And then a couple hours later, she had the 800-meter run where there was another girl with a PR, a different girl with a PR very close to hers. And I was like, well, this one's a little bit different. It's an 800 meters. There's not as much time to mess around. So make sure you have enough space. and just own your space and run your own race. If she wants to run in front of you, let her run in front of you during the headwinds. But like you don't want to leave it as much of a kick. But she did leave it to a kick, but on purpose. And her coach, I could see her coach. Her coach was like running across the infield at like 150 meters left. And I think he was saying like, you got to start going. And I was yelling. I was again at the 50-yard line. And I was like, if you want to race this girl, you got to be, and we talked about this before. If you want to race, you got to be in a position to race. Like, you got to get closer. It's too far. She was like maybe like 2 paces back. And it didn't matter because she outkicked this girl too. And I was like, oh my goodness. And at the end of the race, she was like, did I do it? How did I do? I'm like, well, you won. You already knew that. And she's like, did I race it right? I'm like, I think you ran a good race. I would have liked you to have been closer. Because you didn't know exactly what kind of kick this girl had. But you were able to not only kick past her, but she also made a surge again, and you were able to hold her off. So you did a great job. And I was like, and you're already a better racer than I ever was, And so I was like, I've never, chased anyone down like that. I've never outkicked anyone like that. That's amazing. You're doing great. And she felt pretty good about herself for that. Yeah, Steven C says Kofuzi has created a super kicking machine. I certainly have not. I think that's all the coach. The coach has done a great job. Alex Gonzalez says that must have been a proud parent moment. Congrats to her. I was super, super impressed. I was very proud. And Daniel wants to know what was her times. I'm trying to remember what exactly were her times were. They weren't PR times. The mile was pretty close to her PR. It was sub 6. I want to say it was maybe like 5:53, 5:54 for the mile. And then for the half mile, for the 800, I think she was at 2:39, 2:38. That one went out a little bit faster than we were expecting. But yeah, I'm pretty sure her 800 meter time is faster than my high school 800 meter time. I could be wrong on that. And I didn't race the 800 meter after like sophomore year of high school, I think. But all that aside, I think her times are already faster than mine. I think I could still get her in the mile now. And I think my times in high school for the mile I know my times in high school for the mile were faster. But for the half mile, I don't know. She might be. I don't remember what my times are, but I think she's pretty close. She's real close. Sean wants to know: does the high school have a good program? I actually don't really know all that well, except for the fact that the middle school track and cross country coach, he has like 4 or 5 daughters, all girls, and he was an 800 meter runner in college, and he's coached all of his girls through. There's 2 more left, but 3 of them are already gone through. And between the 3 of them, they have most of the middle school records. Although my daughter's starting to take down some of them. So they've all been good, and they've gone on to run at the high school. So I mean, if it's good enough for his kids, then it's good enough for my kid, I think. Yeah. JC says, time for the co-family challenge. Maybe. She could, I don't know if I could run that 800 time right now. 237, 239. That's real fast. I think I can run her mile time. I mean, I'm trying to run 5:59s for the 5K coming up in a few weeks. So I think I could beat her mile time. But not so much longer. Calvin wants to know: are we going to get a track and field assistant coach for high school? Probably not. I'm just gone a lot, So I don't think I could be there for the amount of time I'd want to if I'm going to commit to something like that. But the following day, so that was Saturday, and then the following Sunday, the next day, was Girls on the Run, and it was my younger daughters, the babies. First time doing Girls on the Run. And my older daughter also used that she ran with us because the whoever's running in Girls on the Run needs to have at least one running buddy. And my younger daughter had two running buddies, me and her older sister. And so that was a lot of fun for the three of us to be able to run together like that. But my daughters couldn't be more different in the way they approach running. So my older daughter, her school's Girls on the Run filled up so fast that we couldn't get her in for the first year that she was available to do it. So I just signed her up separate from our school, and then she didn't go to like the kids, like the Girls on the Run practices. I would just take her running. I would, on the days twice a week where my younger daughter had dance, I would bring my older daughter and we would walk jog for varying amounts of time, and then pick up my younger daughter, and then we'd go home. And my older daughter loved it. She loved the routine of it. She loved like following all right, today's 2 minutes on, 1 minute off. She was all about it. My younger daughter has done like the Girls on the Run program, and they've done it that way, and they do a lot of walk jogging there as well. But my younger daughter just does not like structure very, very much. She's very free spirited in a lot of ways. She's just a carbon copy of my wife, especially in the sense that my younger daughter does not like to be told how to do something. And so, we're talking about like, do you have a race plan? Do you have an idea of how you want to do this thing? And she goes, I'm just going to run a bit and then walk a bit. And I'm like, okay. Here's how your older sister and I did it. When we did like 2 minutes on and 1 minute off, or 1 minute on and 30 seconds off, or 1 and 1. She's like, I don't want to do it that way. Can we just do it my way? And I was like, sure, whatever it's your race, your run, you do it however you want. And so when we start, there's so many people at this thing, and there's so much traffic and congestion in the starting corral. And the moment my younger daughter sees daylight, she takes off and she starts sprinting, and she's weaving in between people. And I'm just like, no, what's happening here? And so my older daughter, who had just run a mile and an 800 the day before, and whose coach was like, as long as you're taking it easy, this is fine. We're taking off after the younger daughter, and we're trying to catch her, and we catch up to her and we find her. But she's basically taking the approach of anytime there's traffic, she walks. Anytime there's daylight, she sprints. And we do that for like the first, quarter mile. And after that, she starts getting a little bit tired. And I start suggesting, well, maybe we'll just jog to the next tree, and then we'll walk to another tree. And then, we've done stuff like that before. And she's like, maybe. And so she's kind of doing it, but kind of still doing it her own way, how she feels like it. And after a while, she's like, wait, we're at mile 1. We got 2 more to go. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, do you want to try doing like a little bit jog for a couple minutes and then rest for a minute? She's like, okay. But it ends up, we're doing a minute on and 30 seconds off. And we do it a couple times, and she's like, this is hard. I don't want to do it this way. And I'm like, well, this is working really well so far. We've already covered another half mile. And she's like, Dad, I thought you said we were going to do it my way. And I'm like, we're doing it however you want. I'm just providing some suggestions. And after that, she's trying it her way after a little while. And then she's like, well, let's just do it. Maybe we'll try it your way for a little bit, Dad. And I'm like, okay, if you want. And so we're doing that. We see my wife. She's got the bell and signs and all that stuff. And so we see her on the course too. And that's a nice motivating factor. And then we're talking about the finishes coming up. So once we make that turn, that's when you're going to run hard. And then once you get even closer, that's when you're going to sprint. She goes, I'm going to run so fast at the end. So fast. I'm like, you sure are. But it's still a little bit of like her bristling at the structure that I'm trying to impose on it. And I'm trying not to impose too much structure, except for the fact that I'm like, jogging really slowly is faster than walking fast. And so like it's, these are long distance events. It's about covering the distance. I'm trying to just be like, hey, you don't have to hammer so hard. Just take it easy and be consistent, and you'll get farther faster. And she just doesn't. She's not hearing any of it. And so I'm just trying the best to keep her like fun, have her enjoy the experience. That's all I care about. Because who cares about it? It's not chip timed. It doesn't matter. And I'm hearing a lot of other parents. You could, especially the runner parents, and you could tell which ones are the runner parents, like having a real hard time with the way their kids are performing on this. I'm like, I can't, I don't want to be one of those dads, and I want to be one of those moms. I'm like, we got we got to figure it out. And so, yeah, eventually we get there, and then at the end, she's got a real big kick. She's having a good time, and then she gets across the line. She's super excited to get the water, a granola bar, a clementine, a banana. She didn't eat any of those, but she liked getting them. And then she got her medal. And then as we're sitting down and kind of waiting to meet up with my wife, she sits down on the curb and then lays down because she's tired. And then she came home and took a nap. She actually took a nap on the drive home, which wasn't even that far. So it was a lot. It was a lot of fun. Sean wants to know, was there a Kofuzias dry heave at the end? No, no, no. But she did sit. She wanted to sit down like at the finish line. So I was like, no, we got to keep moving. There's too many people here. We can't do it. Yeah. Yeah, Martha says, that sounds like the same daughter that steals your water bottles. Is she a swag hoarder? She just enjoyed it. I feel like she just enjoyed being as part of like the celebration at the end. And she's like, this is what everyone else is doing. She's not the swag. My older daughter is the one that takes all the water bottles. The younger one is much more kind of like happy-go-lucky. She just doesn't like too much structure of stuff. And so it's a little bit more of a challenge to approach as a parent, Juliana VB says she's super funny. Love it. She was great. It was awesome. I had such a good time doing it. Because for the same reason that I think that I never experienced it because I was already married before like run clubs, got their resurgence lately. But you know how like people are like, run clubs are a great place to meet people. It's because when you're doing something physical, a lot of like the pretense, the facade is gone, and so it strips away. Not that like my younger daughter is somehow not her authentic self around me, but I just got like a very pure dose of her spirit. Like this is the same girl that's been going like at the same level of gymnastics for like 2 years. And I'm like, do you want to try and take some more classes? Do you want to do some other like individual stuff so that we can get you into the next skill level or whatever? And she's like, no, I like this one. This one's great. Fits into her day, and she's like, I have fun. I have friends there. I enjoy it. And so, or like with swimming, she's a pretty good swimmer. My older daughter was as well. And I'm like, well, do you want to do swim team? There's teams and there's competitions and ribbons and stuff and all that. She's like, no, I just like swimming once a week, So she's like, just doesn't like structure, it seems. And so I felt like I was getting a really strong dose of like, she just likes to enjoy things in her way. And she's not too preoccupied with winning or teams or all the other things that tend to drive a lot of kids. She just enjoys it to enjoy it. And I feel like she's the most enlightened of all of us, Calvin said that this girl was sit and kick before the entire race and constantly. She would just take off and like every time she did, I could hear, we never like looked at each other and it wasn't like a oh boy kind of moment, but like I could just hear myself and my older daughter just like sighing every time. Be like, that's not how we do this. Yeah. And Alex says, I know that strategy well. Yeah. It was fun. It was just a lot of fun, and she just wanted to do it her way. Yeah. So it was good. It was a really good moment. And then like afterwards, I did have a longer run that I did have to do, and I cut it short a bit. But when I came home, my wife mowed the lawn while I was gone. But then I came home, and it was just a lot of running for the weekend, and everyone was kind of like sleeping or like half asleep with the TV on the couch. So that was kind of nice to come home to as well. Um, Andrew says it sounds like she's keeping it fun. Yeah, my younger daughter is always going to keep it fun. She's just the same way with soccer too. She's like she likes soccer and she sometimes has a desire to get better at it, but she's just like I enjoy getting out there. She just enjoys kicking the ball around and having some time with her friends, and she's not super concerned about getting better at it. So I don't know. I think she's got something figured out that we all don't. Adam says kids should fail sometimes in sports. They should learn how to fail. Sports, especially youth, is about life lessons. I agree. I agree. Um, yeah, you learn a lot. You learn a lot about like, and it's low stakes. You learn about like excitement, anticipation, hard work, disappointment. Like my older daughter is, she's she's very insecure about going to the state meet which will be this weekend. And she's like, do you think I could win or place or and like I don't know. None of that's up to you, really, because it depends on like who else shows up and what kind of state that they're in and all that stuff. Um, and all you can do is get out there and race really hard. You've had experience this year running basically by yourself. You have had experience racing some kids and not trying to outkick them at the end. And you have a lot of good skills and you're really fit. And so all you can do is worry about you, and the rest is, a lot of it's going to be out of your control. And she may go there and have the race of her life, and it might not be what she wants. I feel like she'll come somewhere in the middle, even if she PBs. So I'm like, you got to figure out like how do you be happy if you have a good race without a great result, and that's a complicated thing to teach to a kid. But she's 13, so. Yeah. JC says our run club has a bunch of talented young runners. It's fun to watch their progress. It's amazing to see when runners progress. I could see how coaches would get a lot of validation and like satisfaction out of that. Paul Public says, I've observed so many kids who get into park run and start stringing PBs together minutes at a time. Biggest unlock is no walking. Expectations that PBs won't be every week forever need to be managed. I know that's a hard one, right? Like I was overhearing some parents, not at this meet, but at some of just like the early season meets. And like the way that parents would kind of like, they would have family there, and remember this is junior high. So a PB every week is very likely, especially because like there's kids that are going from like childhood to pre-adolescence to adolescence, so there's a lot that happens just from catching the races at the right biological time. And so, I hear a lot of parents kind of like will say either maybe they'll be on the phone talking to other family members, or maybe grandpa came and they'll be like, yeah, so-and-so ran really well. Didn't run a PR this week, but still tried really hard. And I'm like, you mean they didn't run as fast as they've ever run in their life 3 weeks in a row? Oh, God forbid, And so like, I know they mean well and they're trying to say like, kind of put the performances into perspective, but it'd be like saying like, if a kid was playing basketball, it's you wouldn't say like, oh, they didn't score the most points that they've ever scored ever in a game this week, but they still tried hard. It's kind of a weird thing. And so like managing that and like letting kids know that like, sometimes it takes, you could go a season without hitting a PB. At this age, you probably should be hitting a PB every season, but like you're not going to get multiple every year, but yeah. Terry says, my 24-year-old youngest has run a faster marathon than me as the last leg of an Ironman. I know when I'm beaten. That's, you got to be proud about that. but, oh yeah, that kid's faster than you now for sure. All right. Adam says, in running news, Emily Sisson was second at Great Manchester 10K in 31:03. Oh, Misa Isa won in 30:42, and Gebrselassie 31:11. Helen O'Beary was there, 31:16. It seems like a lot of people were at this race. The main results that I saw so far. Thank you, Adam, for giving us those results, because I wasn't aware of any of those. The ones that I were aware of were like Instagram runner results. Like Alfie Manthorpe had a pretty great day. He said it wasn't a PB, but they can't be PBs every time. But I think he came in like 5th overall. Was I reading that right? He ran a pretty fast time. It was like a 28 something. Really fast. Unfathomably fast, if you ask me. But that's the main result that I was aware of. But yeah. Very cool. Daniel Britton says, sometimes it's just too much pressure from some parents. It's all about having fun. That's true. That's true. I forget. I'm very capable of forgetting that. So I understand when parents forget it. But one thing that I'm kind of excited about, which I don't know how disappointed my wife is, but my older daughter also played softball, which was interesting because I played baseball growing up and my wife played a lot of softball growing up, but we don't really spend a lot of time watching baseball at home. So they haven't seen it on TV a lot. And my older daughter, in her first year of softball last year or 2 years, did she play 2 seasons? I think she played 2 seasons 2 years ago. Didn't know the rules about fly balls. What are you supposed to do? Or what do you do if it's 2 outs in a fly ball? She didn't know any of those basic rules and stuff. But anyway, so she learned a lot. She seemed to really enjoy it. But she said she didn't want to play this year because she's wants to start focusing on some of the other sports, and she already still playing a bunch of sports. But in the softball league, some of the parents would get into shouting matches regularly. It was really weird. I'm like, this is 6th grade softball, not travel team, just regular town ball. I didn't really get it. Now, I've got pretty fired up at some of the girls' basketball games. I'll admit that. I got really fired up one time. I wasn't yelling at a person, but I was pretty heated. They kept running the same inbound play, and I was like, every time you see them line up like that, this girl's going to go that way, and the other girl's going to set a pick. Be ready. I was like, come on. But anyway. But yeah, but my daughter didn't want to play softball this year, and softball was my, both a big sport for both my wife and her mom. And so I was like, I think that they're okay with it, but I know how much pleasure I get, and I try to not enjoy it too much. I enjoy the fact that she enjoys a sport that I really love, if she wants to quit, totally fine. But it is nice for me, Julia VB wants to know, what would your Major League Baseball team be since you were first an East Coast boy? See, it makes no sense, right? So my first team was the Mets, because I first started watching baseball. The first earliest memory I have of watching baseball was my dad, right around the '85 Mets season. And so that was my team for a long time. I was never a Yankees fan, always a Mets fan. But then I moved to St. Louis. I went to college in St. Louis, and at that time, One, it was the home run race, so Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, and I was in a fraternity at WashU, and one of our advisors, like not a college person, but like an alumnus advisor, was in the ticketing office at the Cardinals, and so basically he'd be like, "Hey, there's a bunch of cheap, really really cheap tickets. Do you guys want some?" And so we went to so many games, and so after a while you just become a Cardinals fan. And then I moved to Chicago, just south of Wrigleyville, so it was really hard to be a Cardinals fan up there. I never became a Cubs fan, but then that's kind of when I stopped watching baseball as well. And so I was like, oh, I guess the Sox are my team now. But I guess I'm teamless at this point. I don't really watch baseball anymore. I love watching minor league baseball. Just go to the game. It's the pastime. You're close to the action. I don't care if the baseball's not that great or not major league caliber. I just like watching baseball. I like summertime, being in the stands. It's a family event. So that's what I enjoy these days. I went to a Des Moines. Is it Des Moines? The Cubs affiliate. I think it's the AA affiliate in Des Moines. I've been to one of those games. That was a lot of fun. And while I was never a Cubs fan, I will say that Wrigley Field is one of the best places to watch baseball, in my opinion. Eric says, you do go to the Field of Dreams. I do go to the Field of Dreams. I have watched a Pro-Am softball game. Was it pro? It was there's a single A team in Dyersville, which is where the town where Field of Dreams is from. And those guys would play. There's a softball game every year. And one year, Charlie Sheen, in his winning era, Charlie Sheen was the big pro, and he pitched softball. That was a very surreal moment. It didn't seem like it was happening. But yeah, so I've seen watching baseball at the Field of Dreams is great. I haven't seen baseball at the new park that they built, adjacent to the Field of Dreams field. I haven't seen any of those games yet, but it's always the talk of the town, because they're hard to get tickets there, and everyone complains oh, finally get a team, Major League Baseball team, to come out here, and no one from town can get tickets. Calvin says, a single A team? Are they just high school grads? Pretty much. It's they all have, I guess most minor league baseball players, they all have regular jobs. My brother-in-law actually played for that team for a little while. I didn't know that. It's just a fact he dropped on me 3 years ago. I've known the guy for so long now. Eric says, Wrigley is a phenomenal place to watch baseball, and I'm not that much of a baseball fan anymore. It's just great. I love it. There's nothing like a day game. It's so good. Yeah. Martha says, grew up a baseball watching fam, Dodgers games in LA Coliseum during an epic era. Yeah, that was a time. All right. It looks like there's some running shoe talk going on in here. Stevie says, strawberry. It wasn't strawberry. It was Daryl. That was funny. The Simpsons softball episode. That's one of the best episodes. When there was all the baseball players. God, I love working in this nuclear factory. It's such a low stress job. Yeah. All right. Well, let me find that running. It looks like you guys got it covered here, but it looks like Runnabean had a running shoe question. Let me see if I can find the original question. All right. Runnabean says, looking for a lightweight, smooth feeling daily trainer. Any recommendations? I mean, for me, it's going to be Evo SL. Pretty light and it's smooth. It's bouncy too. I really like that. It's bouncy. I'm not sure what you mean by smooth. But one that is lightweight and rolls well. I guess it's not that light. I mean, when I think about shoes that roll well versus being bouncy and more dynamic, I guess it would be Puma Velocity Nitro 3, Adizero SL2. Now those aren't so light, but those would be some options. But for lightweight, just feels great to run in. for me, for the kinds of shoes I like, I would go with Evo SL, Nova Blast 5, Rebel version 4. Those are the ones that I tend to like. All right. One is Raquel Escatel says, "Is that a fractal hat? How does it compare to CLA?" This is a fractal hat. The fit is very different than CLA fits. And now I know, man, what's going on? I had to switch cameras today for that other interview, so I don't know what's going on here, but the camera keeps just like breathing on me. It's weird. So compared to CLA hats, I feel like the CLA hats have a fit. I know they have many fits, but it seems like no matter what hat CLA sends me, and maybe they're only sending me the same fit of hat, but no matter what CLA hat I get, it always seems to fit me just right. And I feel like I have a weird shaped head. I'm a medium in everything, but I'm a large, borderline extra large in hats. I got a big head or a weird shaped head. And so the CLA hats always seem to fit me just right. The fractal hats are a little bit of a roomier fit. And so, or maybe it's just the part of my head that's weirdly shaped. That's where fractal hats have more room. So they always feel like a little bit more roomy to me. And then a lot of the material, I know they have a variety of styles, feels a little bit thicker to me as well. It's not as much of like a dry fit kind of material. Still very runnable, for sure, but it's more they're softer, I think is the best way I could put it. They also do make a really good Legionnaire. Probably some of the best Legionnaires on the market if you're into Legionnaires. But yeah, I'd say like the fit is closer to, have you ever run in an alter ego hat? Those hats I feel like are really, really big, super roomy, like trucker hat roomy in the front. And those are the roomiest. The fractal hats I would say are next roomiest. And then there's CLA. And I think anything that fits tighter than a CLA hat is just too tight. It doesn't fit right. All right. Sean Devlin is anti-Legionnaire. I just don't have a lot of need for it. It's, for me, I have long hair. If I needed, I guess, neck coverage, I'll just let the hair down. And then, because I normally run with it in a bun, it doesn't really work that well in a Legionnaire anymore. So I don't know. Like, I'd rather run in an SPF shirt that has a hood and put the hood over this. But maybe, I don't know. If I ever do like a desert race or a super hot race, I think I probably would bring a Legionnaire. Or at least I'd pack it with me to because I might want to. And I'd do some training in it, The bucket hats they work. They don't work for me visually. It looks like I stole someone else's hat every time I wear a Legionnaire. It just doesn't look like it works for me. All right. Patrick Odinina says, shoe question. How do you feel about returning a shoe after wearing it? I ask because I kind of feel bad that they probably won't be able to sell them. And I mean, in the event they don't work for me. I'd say if the company that you have a return policy for will take them, bring them back. And I think that's a win-win-win situation. I wouldn't feel bad about it. They'll let you know if it's like, nah, this is too much. It's like way too dirty. We can't take this one back. Or you clearly use this one too much if that's what your concern is. So like, I wouldn't worry about that. And here's why. One is that place that you bought it from has a return policy to make sure that you're a happy customer and hopefully a returning customer, right? So if you're buying a shoe and you're like, yeah, but like I felt bad returning it. So like, I went with another place where I could try them on better, or like if you're thinking about like an online versus an in-person kind of situation and you don't want to return it. So like, that's why they have good return policies. So that way, they're removing all obstacles for you to try a shoe. Because if you try a shoe, you probably will like the shoe. Especially you, Patrick, because like you know what you're looking for, right? But let's say you don't like it, you're gonna hopefully exchange it for a different shoe that you do. So you'll still be spending money there, and they'll have a happy customer. So those are win-wins. But what about the other shoe, right? I think that's where whenever you go to like a running store and they got that table in the back with a bunch of shoes that are super cheap, that's where a lot of those are coming from. They've been worn like on a treadmill because someone wanted to test them. And that was the tester unit that they kind of had. So a couple people may run, a couple minutes at a time on a treadmill in them. Or maybe it's a return that someone tried for a run and they brought it back because it ended up not working out for them. So like those are ways that other customers then can come in and get what they consider to be a value, right? And so like those are still sellable shoes. And they might even be able to return them as well. So like from a running store, I'm not exactly positive on how all that works in terms of excess unsold inventory, that kind of thing. I'm not sure, but or if there's returns, not positive. Anyone else, maybe Mark might know, but I just feel like those are all win-win-wins, right? And so like them having a happy customer is what's going to matter the most. Now, if you're doing this like every time, they're going to be like, oh man, you're kind of costing us money at this point. But I don't think that's what you're doing. And so like, I would say, don't let that stop you. Yeah. Juan Garcia says a lot of those companies have secondhand stores and websites. But Frank says returning your Evo Pros after a marathon is maybe not the move. True. And Calvin says, running shoe booths at race expos bring those shoes all the time for huge discounts. Yeah. Thomas Wen says it's all win-win for all, wink. And that's with the spelling of his last name. Hopefully, if you're listening to this one, it's the spelling of his last name, but it sounds like win. All right. JC says, and we'll end on this one today. Will the Rebel 5 be another radical change? Only change I'd like to see is a longer tongue. I don't know. I don't have it yet. I don't know what's going on with New Balance. They don't seem to be sending me stuff anymore, which is cool. It's fine. I don't take it. I kind of take it personally. I don't know why they're not sending me stuff anymore, but I'll still review it eventually. It's just going to take longer because now I have to wait to buy it. But I hope it's not a radical change because the Rebel 4 was my daily trainer of the year last year. Now, unless the Rebel 5 is just a huge improvement, and there's not a ton that I would want to see changed on the Rebel. The daily trainer of the year is probably going to be the Evo SL. I can't imagine another shoe taking that title. But just because I like that shoe so much. But I do like the design of the outsole. I think it's interesting. Whether that'll be comfortable or feel like it's heavy, I'm not sure. We'll have to test it. It still kind of has that low poly design. I don't think it doesn't look incredibly different to me. But I don't know. Again, it kind of, the way that the midsole looks, it kind of reminds me of the SC Pacer 2. And so that kind of has me a little bit concerned. But that's just the low poly design. I'm not going to worry about it too much. Hopefully it's not too much of a change because it's already a great shoe as the Rebel 4. But we'll see. That shoe doesn't come out till August. So unless New Balance does decide to send me a pair, I won't be able to. I probably won't be reviewing it until August or maybe even September. But we'll see. Hopefully it's good. All right. That's going to be a good place to leave it for today. Tomorrow review. Hopefully I'll follow-up review on the Puma Mag Max. Just cross 100 miles in that one. And then I'll see you guys again Thursday. I went to the P.O. Box place today because I just go because there's usually something to pick up. There was nothing to pick up. I did get to play with the dog, though, so it wasn't for nothing. But hopefully we'll have something to unbox next time. All right, guys. In the meantime, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.